I'm pleased today to congratulate Jack Scott as a newest member of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thank you very much.
I understand that you were a catcher.
Yeah.
I think something that everybody should ever ask a catcher is, why would you ever want to do that?
Oh, it started back at a very young age where I remember, they kind of took all the young boys and put them behind the plate and see who could throw through to second base and things like that.
Right.
And, anyway, it just kind of evolved where they thought I was suited to the position, and so I became a catcher, and I was pretty much a catcher my whole career.
It's a tough job, isn't it?
It's a tough job, but I was thinking about it before coming out here, and I always thought it was the best position on the field. Personally, that's just my own thought. I love being a catcher. I wouldn't trade it for any other position because...
Why do you say it's the best position?
Oh, because you're involved in every play, you're involved in every pitch. You're looking at the game from behind the plate out instead of coming in, and you just see it from a different perspective, and it's just I'm not knocking any other position on the field. I just love being a catcher, and I always love the position. Everything happens at home plate, it's just, it's where the hub is, and catching pitchers and seeing the other team's players come to the plate, and I just enjoyed being a catcher. I loved it, so yeah.
I'm going to read a list of a few names here to you who I know you'll recognize immediately.
Yeah.
Guys like Doug Freeth, John Melnick, Don Maskew, Jerry Falk.
Yeah.
Pretty good pitching staff.
Oh yeah, those guys were all great pitchers. They really were, and it made, as a catcher, it made my job easy. I mean, the first thing you do as a catcher is figure out what that pitcher has in his arsenal. And when you had those guys take the mound, it was really easy game to catch because they had so much to give. I go with Doug Freeth. He had just a jumping fastball and a wicked curveball. So you mix those two up, and the batters just didn't know what was coming next. So Don Maskew, huge control pitcher. He had a good hard fastball, but he also knew where to place it. I think John was more of a change of pace pitcher where he had a lot of breaking balls, mixed his fastball in, change up, things like that. But his strength was more change of speed, change of location. And then Jerry Falk was just an ace of a pitcher. Jerry, left-hander, and really knew how to pitch, really knew how to hit the spot, had a good breaking ball, had a good fastball. All four of those guys, if they were taking the mound for a game, I always liked our chances to win. They were all just tremendous.
I have heard it said that sometimes a catcher has to be a psychologist, and that pitchers are, I don't know, I guess maybe the word would be temperamental or fragile sometimes. Did you found that?
Yeah, I always thought one of the jobs of a catcher was to pace the game. And every once in a while you'd find, the pitcher's throwing a couple balls in a row. And the reason he's throwing a couple balls in a row is his rhythm's off. He's throwing too quickly. He catches the ball, gets on the mound, ready to go, and throws again. And you can tell another ball's coming because he's not in his rhythm. And so I found sometimes the trick there is just delay giving him his next signal and force him to take a pause on the mound, get his rhythm back. You got to know when to go to the mound, things like that. You just have to. I always thought a battery is a true terminology that you have to have a language. I always felt that you sort of had to feel the pitcher and where he was in any given situation, how he was doing. The pitchers are the key to the game, of course. You're just catching them. Your job was to make sure they pitched their best game, and part of it was just getting them in their rhythm and finding what they had going that day. I mean, if their fastball was going, you called their fastball.
You've had some success with the teams that you've played with, and I say that with the greatest respect. Played in the Canadian Championship.
Yeah.
Can you remember some highlights from that experience? I know it was probably a while ago.
Well, I played in the, which championship are you talking about?
You're right to ask that because there were several.
There's a few.
What was your? Let me turn the question to you this way. What was the most outstanding Canadian championship you've ever played in? The one that evokes the most memories for you?
I guess that would be the one where we finally hit the mountaintop and went to the Canadian Championships in Thorold. It was 75, and we had a very good team. We picked up a number of Carmen Goldeye players who were excellent players, Jerry Falk being one of them, and 3 or 4 others. And we went out to the Canadian Championship that year with a really solid ball club. The unfortunate part of it was the first day we played, and then the second day it rained. And so it rained all day and canceled the entire day. And something happened in that rain day where we kind of lost our rhythm. And then when the tournament started up again, we didn't have the same rhythm, and we didn't do as well as we should have done. I thought we had a much better team than the results. And, we finished, I can't remember where we finished. We certainly didn't win it all. But it was a tremendous experience to go there, to experience it, to play in that level of baseball. And again, I thought our team was equal with anybody else that was there. We just had an off weekend. That was really what I felt.
You had quite a lot of success as well in Manitoba Junior Baseball League. 2 teams that went to the Western Canadians there. And then when your junior career was over, a little later on, you served as the Manitoba Junior League commissioner for 3 seasons. While you were coaching the St. Boniface Legionnaires Junior Club at that time. What made you make that step? Because that's a pretty big move.
I think there's sort of a progression there, is that you start with the 75 national championship team that we went out to. A lot of the guys I played with, I was 1 year behind them in an age group. So there was this core of guys that graduated from junior after that championship in Thorold, Canadian. And so the next season, they had all moved ahead into senior ball, and I was still junior age. So I came back to the team, and there was me and a bunch of young guys. And the coaches last year had said, okay, we're taking a year off, so there's no coach. So then it sort of became, okay, so there's me, some young guys, and no coach. Either we fold the team or I step up and coach. So I was player coach that year. That was a challenge, I'll tell you.
Undoubtedly.
Being player coach. But I did that during that season. The following year, now I had aged out a junior, and I decided to stay on and coach. And the league was kind of in a bit of a flux at the time, and so I got involved in the management of the league. And from there it evolved where they needed a commissioner, and I thought, well, why not me? And so I was actually quite young then, 23, 24 years old. And I became the commissioner of the league for about 2-3 years. And that was a real learning experience, let me tell you. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of, it was different.
It's completely different than being on the field because you're not in the batting order. You're not, people aren't watching you.
No.
They don't see what you do until there's trouble, and then they come looking for you.
It was an interesting time, and I think my perspective then was I just lived it. And so now I knew where the strengths and the weaknesses were in the league from having just gone through it. And so I just focused on where I thought we could improve the league. We had a bit of I always thought it was a funny scenario where one of the managers of one of the other teams, I'll name I won't give, he and I had played against each other for many years on opposite teams. Now he was the coach of this team and I was the commissioner. And so then he'd phone me every day and he'd complain about every decision I made, accusing me of bias towards my old team, which I wasn't. But he accused me of that. And it was the old rotary telephone days where he'd yell at me for an hour on the phone. And I go, but. As soon as it was my turn to talk, he'd slam the phone down on me. I never got a word in edgewise. So drove me crazy.
The life of the commissioner.
Oh, God, yeah. I learned the hard way. This is a tough life. But
it is. Well,
I did it for about 3 years, and then it was was time to hand the ball off to someone.
I'm sure the league and the sport are grateful for your contributions because not everybody can do that.
Yeah,
And,
it was a very good learning experience too. It was interesting to, now you're managing a whole league and there's just stuff comes up and you can't plan all that stuff. Stuff happens and you just deal with it and do the best you can.
I want to take a slight side road away from baseball for a moment because while this is the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's also about you as an inductee. And I want to talk about football.
Okay.
St. Vital Mustangs, University of Manitoba Bisons, and coaching the Mustangs.
Yeah.
This is not your first Hall of Fame because you're in the Mustangs Hall of Fame too.
Yeah.
What attracted you to football?
Well, it was the same thing as baseball. I mean, at a very young age, I love sports, and I was fortunate at the time where there's 3 seasons: baseball season, football season, and hockey season. I played all 3. So when the seasons rolled around, I just played baseball in the summer, football in the fall, hockey in the winter, and I got quite involved in football. I probably played for 10 years, and then I went back and, as everybody else does, and part of the commissioner job in baseball is once you've gone through it, there comes a time where it's time for you to give back. And so I went back and I became a coach at the Mustangs. I did that for 10 years. After the Bison years, I came back and coached for 10 years at the Mustangs. So I was quite involved with the Mustang organization as a player for a long time, then a couple of years with the Bisons and back as a coach at the Mustangs for 10 years. So there's a 20-odd year stretch where I was quite involved with the Mustangs, and fortunate to get into their Hall of Fame as well for those years. But
undoubtedly, as deserved as your membership in this Hall of Fame is.
Yeah.
One final question, and that's looking at people who may be playing baseball, may be playing football, or other sports for that matter.
Yeah.
And looking forward, you successfully, under varying circumstances, made the transition from on the field to off into management into coaching. Mm-hmm. Is that something you would recommend for players today who maybe just aren't quite ready to leave the sport, even though that their playing skills have got to the point where it's time to step back?
For sure it is. And it's almost an obligation in that, as a young boy and going through the years, you just play. The teams are there and you just play. But somebody has to set up the team. Somebody has to get the uniform. Somebody has to coach the team. Unless somebody does all of that, you don't get to play. And so once you're through your playing days, it's your turn to do the other job. And that is either coach or manage or fundraise or do whatever, but get involved with the sport you love. And sometimes if you got kids, it's easy because then you're really involved. But I do believe in giving back, for sure. In my case, in baseball, I did do some coaching, but I had 3 daughters. So they got into softball. So I had to learn a new game. But softball was close enough to baseball, I could transition. So I was coaching and being involved in softball for 10 years. But it's just, I knew it's my turn to give back. I would recommend that to anybody who's been involved in the sport, to think about giving back and get involved and just do what you can, because you can never have enough volunteers. We all know that.
Jack, thank you for sharing your story. It's a tremendous story, one of dedication and commitment and passion.
Okay.
And that adds up to the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm really, really honored by this. I can't tell you how honored I am. So it's a real honor for me. I'm humbled. Yeah.
Good.